Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome to Halloween. Yes, it's a very happy Halloween. I cannot believe it's here. Gina Crosheck joining us, our owner of PrismsScape Gems and Healing Center. And who are you today?
So I am the fairy godmother from Cinderella.
Beautiful. I love it.
I even have a magic wand.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm a candy corn witch half dressed because everything keeps disappearing. But I love that you dress up. We talked about it last week, so I didn't forget my costume, or half of it at least. But great to have you back. Tell us about what you do to start. Give us a quick overview, then we'll go into today's topic of conversation for Halloween.
Okay, that sounds great. So there's so many of us who make up PrismsScape Gems and Healing Center. So we've been in business. We're in our 10th year, and we are a crystal shop and a healing center. And we sell crystals with the metaphysical properties. In fact, one of the things we'll talk about today is we'll talk about crystals that are really good for this time of year with the darkness and everything. And but we are in Iowa City, Iowa, and we have a website called www.PrismsScape, PrismsScape.com. And we have a phone number, and we are in the process of changing it. But right now it's 319-351-2907.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here and excited that you're back with us today. I know you want to focus on the Sunshine Kit to start. What is that all about?
Oh, it is wonderful. So there are several of us in the world. There are a lot of us, in fact, in the world who suffer significantly as the light diminishes. In fact, they've created special lamps to help people deal with the seasonal affective disorder. And I know it's one of the things that my husband, George, wrestles with every season. And he just, all of a sudden, just doesn't have the energy he had. And so we talked among ourselves, and one of our wonderful volunteer, Ruth Ann Hyduke, put together what she calls a sunshine kit. And I absolutely love it. So I will show you the stones and tell you what they do. So the whole idea is they're going to help us get through these periods where we just feel lethargic and just icky and just don't want to do anything. And we just are going, where does the sunshine go? So we have with us today, the first stone in the kit is a citrine. This one also, if you could see it in person, it has rainbows in it, which makes everybody happy.
Wow.
And citrine is good for bringing happiness and joy.
Okay.
And it's also good in helping you be playful and optimistic, which is one of the things that we sort of dissipates during this time of darkness. And then the next one is Septarian. And Septarian is one of those nondescript stones, but it is probably the oldest stone that we have that we know of from the earth. It comes out of Madagascar primarily. It can also come out of Utah.
Wow.
But it is a brown.
Beautiful.
And yeah, it's a brown stone with cream in it. And then we have sunstone. Now, sunstone is one of those very exciting stones, and it hasn't been around for a long time. They discovered it out in Washington State. It has a flash to it if you work with it. So one of the stones that has flash to it is called labradorite, and this is a variation on it. But it looks sort of like the sun with this golden color. And it is working with leadership skills. Again, it's another stone of joy. And one of the really important things now during this season is to remember to find our own personal joy and work with
Oh,
it. And then we have this tiny little stone called peach agate. And
never
it
saw that
is
before.
what? Okay. And so it is helps us with concentration and our analytical skills. And this time of year, everything moves slower,
Okay.
and we just are looking for it to help us. And it's also a very nurturing and a very creative stone.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably one of the most wonderful stones, there's two more. One of the most wonderful stones is lepidolite,
Ooh,
and it is purple, but it has mica in it.
okay.
And it also has lithium in it. And lithium, we have discovered, is one of the key things to our personality in terms of bringing us calm and peace. And it also helps relieve exhaustion. And then last but not least is amber. And amber is one of the most fascinating stones because it's actually fossilized or petrified pine resin. And it's very lightweight, but it has been around
Wow.
forever. And it is really good for bringing in the sun's energy. And it really is a very bright stone and very, very fun.
Awesome.
And it's also good for protection. In fact, I just sent a little necklace of amber to my great nephew who has a new son who's going to be two months old tomorrow.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it is for protection. It's one of the things that certain communities you will put around their babies to keep them protected from negative.
Oh,
Mhm.
beautiful. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness. What else is in this kit? Is that it? Is there more?
that's it. That's it. And we package it with a sheet that explains all of the different stones, and we put
Mm-hmm.
it into a really nice little pouch.
Beautiful. And
So
let me ask you, you ship them everywhere or what's the?
we ship them within the US.
All right,
We
awesome.
discovered that international shipping is problematic, and so we therefore just stay within the confines of the US.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, also for Halloween, what do you have in mind? I was reading the next segment, Halloween and Samhain. I don't even know what that is. What is that?
So Samhain it's Samhain, and
Mm-hmm.
it actually comes out of the Irish culture and
Okay.
from the ancient times, and it was at the end of harvest, and it is was a time of celebration, a time of festivals,
Wow.
and it became also known as a time when it would be good to get in touch with the ancestors.
Okay.
And it's still celebrated today. That many people believe that that particular festival is when we started to really evolve into what we now call Halloween.
Ooh.
And some people call it All Hallows Eve. And so there's something about the energy of this time of year between October 31st, 31st, and November 1st, 2nd, and sometimes going into 3rd, that they say that the veil between the other worlds and this world is thin. And so
Okay.
we're able to work with the
Ooh.
spirit, become conscious of the spirits of our ancestors, work with them. And in fact, in Mexico, they have celebrate the Day of the Dead with on the 1st and the 2nd of November. And people will put up altars for working with the honoring
Wow.
their ancestor. And Samhain, so it's really one of those uh, celebrations or festivals that has been in different places in the world and goes by different names.
Ooh,
And so we, the one that people in this country celebrate the most started out with Samhain.
okay.
But we also have a lot of Irish and Scot heritage in the US.
Awesome.
So
Now, hold on. By the way, just want to remind everyone who we're talking to. I know Gina Crosheck. Just got to make sure you guys all reach out to prismscape.com. That's PRISMS C two S's, sorry, Scape, Prisms Scape, SCAPE.com. And again, at her healing center, she offers so much healing, right? With the metaphysical company she has and the crystals we've talked about. We've talked about her doing Reiki in the past life regression, speaking of,
yes.
and she loves working with people all over. And just to let you know, go to that website or you can go visit her in person in Iowa City. And for today's special, obviously being that it's Halloween, I want to know more about All Saints Day compared to the Day of the Dead. What is it exactly? And then how do we work with our ancestors?
So the process of, so they say that when the Catholic Church came in to be so prevalent in Europe and in the United Kingdom area, that they recognized that the people who were indigenous to that land were celebrating this one festival this time of the year. And
Hmm.
so they decided that probably it was time to name an All Saints Day or an All
Okay.
Souls Day. And so that became the day in the US and the UK, where, and other European countries, where they honored the dead and worked with them. And then the in Mexico and South America and other segments, other countries, they call it the Day of the Dead and celebrate
Okay.
it and put up altars for the ancestors who passed. And they will always leave when they're having their festivals, because it usually involves parties and festivals and lots of food, which is what celebrations are about anymore, is lots of food. And so they'll set aside a table, a place at the table for the ancestor or whoever, whatever spirit is going to come in.
Got
And
it.
so this morning, um, George, my husband, we live on a farm that it was
Ah,
first, his great grandmother, Barbara, first purchased it in 1891. And so
wow.
around the holiday time, great grandmother Barbara pops in.
Oh my
And
God.
so today she sort of popped in, and so did his grandmother's
Really?
brother, Uncle Walter. And it's just that whole sense of once you start to sensitize yourself, you're open and able to work with different spirits, or at least communicate with them and hear what they say. So, like, for instance, great grandmother Barbara left a darning needle on our kitchen floor one day, and I was talking with my friend who's a medium, and she said, "Oh yeah, that's great grandmother Barbara." And she says, "I'm here for the holidays. I want to see what the family is doing." And so it's that whole business of, even though we have um, no physical contact with them, we can still have contact with their energies and with their spirits, and we can learn things from them. And this is a time of the year when it's easiest for us to actually reach them and talk with them. So if people have questions of the ancestors that they want answered, now is the time. But I think one of the things, whenever you're working in this realm, that everyone needs to do is you need to always set what we call sacred space. So you
Yeah.
create with a prayer, or you create with some sort of honoring ceremony and ceremony to make sure that you are only dealing with 100% light beings. and or with the beings that are appropriate for us at this time. So you can have nothing coming in that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
harmful to you. And so yes, that's very important. But uh, I just think that it's one of the gifts of this time that we're living in is so many of the
Wow.
things that people have talked about over the past, through the centuries or written about. We're now able to access that information, that energy, and it's just fun. But it is also something that you approach with respect and you approach it with caution.
Got it.
So.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. This is an exciting time. What do you do on Halloween night? What do you do today? Do you have a lot of trick-or-treaters where you are?
Well, we don't personally at our house because we we literally live at the end of a 1 mile road that
Okay.
dead ends into government ground. And it again is this sort of tucked away little sanctuary. But the shop, we have Halloween candy out and we're giving a discount to people, particularly if they come in wearing a costume. So you would get a discount today of 15% for being in costume. And in terms of coming into the shop and buying anything today.
I love it. Thank you so much. My goodness, we still have plenty more time to talk. We got 9 minutes left in the show. So, what else do you want to make sure we address for today?
So I would say that probably one of the things that is interesting is how festivals coincide. So today is also Diwali,
Oh, okay.
which is a Hindu celebration of their festival of the lights. And it just coincides that today, this next 5 days are going to be the celebration of Diwali, which if you were in India, the whole world would be alight and would be celebrating
Oh, wow.
again this time of time to they use lights to surround things, and so it's just a beautiful time, and it also involves celebrating the ancestors. So I think the celebration of ancestors, and then I'm just trying to think if there are other things that we are coming up to, but that is one that I think is wonderful. There was uh, a show not long ago. It was a wonderful show where it was an
Hmm.
office, it was a call center that was located in India. In fact, that was the first time that I had ever heard of Diwali.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've had friends who actually celebrate Diwali here in the States. And so it's quite wonderful. So
Awesome. There's so much excitement during this time of year, and I just feel it. There's a certain energy, right? How do you
there
describe
is
it?
a
Because,
lot of energy. Yeah.
yeah.
So one of the things, speaking of energy, I've been reading a book called
Oh,
The Light Shall Set You Free. And one of the things that it was talking about that's so fascinating to me is that energy is actually what we all are. And as a result of that, so however we are generating energy,
ooh,
whatever we're doing, we can generate form. And
ooh.
so our intellect, we can work with our intellect to create form and to recognize that.
Wow.
And so this whole train of thought recognizes that the thoughts that we project or the energy that we project are the things that are we are creating in front of ourselves. And so that's why it becomes very important when we start talking about the future and how we want the future to be, for us to put an energy in there that is just positive and energetic and a lot of the feelings. And
Yeah.
so you have, and that's what we were talking about not long ago in terms of visioning and holding a vision. When people start talking about terrible things that could happen, I'm just like, no, no, We just have to focus on the positive and what's going to be absolutely wonderful and what we want to see happen in the coming years
Ah, love
and
it.
in the coming days.
Oh
So,
my goodness. Well, thank you so much. And
yeah.
there's so much more to you, the work that you do. And, I just love Halloween. Clearly, you do. You love dressing up, and I love that about you. And people are going to be coming in today for their trick or treats. Well, I should say treats. And, the energy of your store, it's got to
Mhm.
be so cool because it's like what you do. Is there something in particular that, we should do to be careful of like the bad spirits out there today? Or is that, is that
Oh,
just
there, no, it's real. I mean, there is energy out there that isn't, we live in a world of duality. And
mm-hmm.
because we live in a world of duality, it becomes important to have an understanding that, yes, if you have, well, it's like if you have sunshine, you have darkness. And so there are a couple of stones that we use for protection. And one of them is black tourmaline. In fact, it's been on sale all month. And
Mm-hmm.
it is something that people would used to take that and smoky quartz and a couple of other stones, shungite, would put in their desk if they thought that there were some negative people in their office. And in terms of protection, I just always call in the divine because I for someone who stayed away from anything spiritual for about 30 years, now then if I want something or anything, I'm always asking the angels to come in and help because it makes my life so much easier. It's just like this morning, we were coming in, we were going a little bit behind, and
Yeah.
we were coming up, and George, there was some truck on the
Oh.
road that connected to the highway. And he said, "Oh, I hope we don't get stuck
Oh,
and that we get on the road." And we got to the end of that road and we're turning onto the US highway that came into Iowa City. And there were paving trucks.
wow.
But we were not stopped. They pushed us on, and George just said, "Thank you, angels, for that." And so I would always call in angelic protection and to help
Amazing.
us. As
Oh
they
my
say,
goodness.
there are lots of angels, and so we just have to put them to work.
Oh, I love this. And I'm a firm believer in our angels. And I know all my ancestors, my loved ones, my mom, my grandparents, my cats, they're all with us somewhere, right? And we can connect with them. And I just love that we can make that possible. And really, I believe in this whole energy thing. And I just like, are you also like a medium? Can I call you that? A psychic as
So,
well?
so I would never refer to myself as being a medium.
Okay.
There are times when people's ancestors or people who have been close to them or their animals will come when I'm doing a Reiki session.
Yeah.
And and I can describe them and I can communicate what the messages they might want to tell them.
Yeah.
But I would not, being a medium is something it makes sense to study. There's some people who become natural mediums, but uh, I think it's one of those things that you really would be very careful about before claiming. And and if you're going to do something like being a medium, you have to be very thoughtful or if you're psychic, you have to be very thoughtful about what you tell people. There are times when there are some messages that no one needs to hear.
Wow.
And so you have to be respectful and understand what the repercussions of what you tell another person could be.
Wow. Got
And
it.
so it's a very interesting world when you start getting messages from spirits or you get messages from other beings. And so the thing is that that's why I always set sacred space before I ever start to work in that realm.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much. A pleasure having you here. And again, to reach out to find out more about how they can get their sunshine kit, right?
Yes, yes. And
These
it's
crystals for the dark days of
$14.
winter. How much is it?
It's $14.
Oh my goodness, that's very affordable. Plus shipping, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, plus shipping,
Oh
yes.
my gosh. All right. Tell us the website, how we could find it. Thank you.
It's www.PrismsScape, PrismScape.com. And the phone number is 319-351-2907.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you
Thank you.
here. And we'll talk again next week. And enjoy the rest
Yes,
of
we
your
will.
Halloween. And I love that you're all
Okay.
dressed up for the trick-or-treaters. Thanks again so much.
Okay, thank you very much. We
Bye. Have a
really
great
enjoyed it.
day.
Bye-bye. I
Thank you.
love your candy
Thank you.
corn witch.
Thank you for allowing me to dress up and play a little today. I appreciate it.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcasts on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.